Hello, good evening. Welcome to our front. My guest today was one of the 10 people that were initially held responsible or indicted by the Special Investigation Board, that is the SIB, in 1982. And these indicted gentlemen were directly supposed to have been responsible for the abduction and the murder of 3 High Court judges and Major Samakwa. Now, he was not prosecuted because the Attorney General then found no evidence to proceed with prosecution of himself. The others were prosecuted. We know the rest is actually history today. My guest today is Sergeant Aloga Akata-Pore, retired. Sergeant, you're welcome to our front.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I hope you are doing well.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Okay, it's good to know. I mean, when was the last time you were in Ghana and actively participating in the actions of this country?
2017, I think.
I see. So you be coming in, of course, you are currently based in the UK.
Yeah, I'm in the UK.
Now, let me take you back to 1982. And of course, the all-important issue to do with the killing of the 3 High Court judges and Major Samakwa. You were one of those people indicted by the SIB. Of course, later on, the Attorney General then felt there was not enough evidence to prosecute you, or you were not in any way connected to the main event and couldn't have been held responsible. But how did you feel about the indictment in the first place?
Well, I was surprised to hear that the Special Investigation Board had suggested that I had anything to do with the murders.
And why were you surprised?
Well, I had nothing to do with the murders. Nothing at all.
Okay, but the suggestion was that right from conception and many of the activities, you knew about it and perhaps had actually sat in meetings to discuss some of these issues.
I don't think that was the case at all. There couldn't have been any meetings in which I participated to go and abduct people and murder them. It's just not part of the function of government. So that is why I was surprised.
Now, explain to me what exactly was your role under the then PNDC around the time that the judges were actually abducted and murdered.
Okay. I was, my official title was Secretary to the Armed Forces Defense Committees. That was my official title. And that's the role that I played. So it was my duty to explain to the soldiers about why we needed a revolution. And basically to inaugurate those committees and to oversee their functions, mainly educational, and to link them to their civilian counterparts.
Okay, well,
that's I'm talking of their counterparts in the workplaces.
Now, there is some understanding of what happened then, and of course, some believe that we've not still gotten to the bottom of the matter. Are you one of those who think that the murder, abduction first murder of the judges will not go away until specific questions are answered?
100%. I've written a document, and you may have a copy of it with you. The point is, I'm arguing that the case needs to be revisited in terms of how, basically I'm arguing that the case was not investigated, at least not properly, and therefore it needs to be completely re-investigated. So I want the truth, because I believe that there are some persons who operated within the PNDC, particularly the chairman, Jerry John Rawlings, who knew a lot more about the murders, and that truth has not come out yet.
That's an interesting development, but I'm sure you know that former President Rawlings appeared before the NRC. Former President Rawlings was asked questions. He gave all the answers he could give. You still somewhat believe that he knows something beyond what we all might know. What gives you that particular confidence?
Okay, when there's an incident or a case or a criminal act and an investigation happens, critical people to the incident have to be investigated. Now, it is clear to everybody, at least at that time, everybody knew that the chairman had a lot to do about it. And he wasn't called to be investigated. So how can the investigation be complete if persons of critical interest to the case have not been interviewed? You see, and I've got this document here. It's 10 pages, and a lot of it goes into telling everybody why I think that he's critical to the investigation.
Okay, I get you, and I'm sure we'll go through some of those things that you put out there in that particular document. Now, I need you in a matter of some few minutes for how you understand what really happened. Reconstruct the virtual abduction and the killing of these judges to me. How did you get to know of the incident, and what was your reaction when you heard it first?
Okay. I remember clearly that I was driving on the motorway from Tema back to Accra. And then I heard the news on the radio that an incident like that had occurred. At first, it didn't register. It didn't register as anything significant, because so many things were going on around that time. When I got to the barracks, a lot of soldiers came round me to say that, look, some saboteurs have gone to kill people and they want to tarnish the image of the council. And they know them and they want to go and apprehend them and finish them. So I said, hey, hold on, what's going on here? Then I came to realize that certain soldiers that had been dismissed prior to the PNDC had been involved. And these were Teko, Senya, Jandu, and then Amedeka. You see, so the soldiers actually wanted to apprehend them and finish them. But obviously, we don't live in a law of the jungle. So I stopped them, I spoke to them and calmed them down and told them that the PNDC will investigate the case and then take the appropriate measures. So that calmed down the situation, but it was still there, still lingering on. Then later on, it was rumored that A-Mata-Quaye was involved in it. So I called A-Mata-Quaye because it was so intense. I called A-Mata-Quaye and put him in my car. He left his car, sat in my car. We drove around the barracks. We went to the officers' mess, drove back, drove to the Air Force, Juba Villas, all the way Nicholson Stadium, workshop, back to Arakan Barracks. We went around the whole place. And each time I kept asking him, are you involved in this thing? Tell me what has gone on, because the rumor is intense. Please tell me, because I am defending you. These soldiers want to apprehend you and finish you. Please tell me the truth. A-Mata-Quaye assured me that he wasn't involved in it. So I told the soldiers that, look, there's no way a member of the government will be involved in this thing. And I knew A-Mata-Quaye, and A-Mata-Quaye wasn't involved. Again, that calmed the situation. And that is how it was. And then it became clear that the tension wouldn't go away. Mm-hmm. Okay? Then one day, the chairman called me with A-Mata-Quaye seated on his bed in Gonda Barracks. And he told me A-Mata-Quaye had decided to resign from the council. So I said to him, Chairman, there are rumors out there stating that A-Mata-Quaye is involved in the murder of the judges. If A-Mata-Quaye resigns now, everybody is going to say it's because of the murder of the judges. So it is not right for A-Mata-Quaye to resign. By the way, what is his reason for resignation? He told me the PNDC is provisional, and therefore people should not be surprised if people resign from the council and then get replaced by others. So I said to him, Chairman, that means you will also have to step down. It doesn't make sense. So he kept quiet for some time. And I said, look, I didn't want to join the council. I'm prepared to join A-Mata-Quaye so that we both resign. And he said no, he didn't want me to resign. So I'm just giving you the story for you to realize what happened.
Yeah,
so it was clear.
I'm following.
Yeah, it was clear to me when I went and met the two of them in the chairman's office in Gonda Barracks that things were not right. I'm not a kid, but you know, so I just thought that, okay, this thing, what is going on? It was so confusing because I could not believe for a minute that the chairman would be involved in the way that I've come to believe that he was involved.
Okay, so at that point, you are insisting there's no way you thought the former President Rawlings was in any way involved in the planning, in the thinking behind the abduction and the killing of these judges?
Yeah, at that time, that was what I thought.
But your mind has changed.
Pardon?
But your mind has changed.
Oh, yes, of course. Because events have unfolded.
I'll come to those events, but I'm reading from page 39 of the SIB's report. Yeah. It says in part, and that was an interrogation that Joaquin A-Mata-Quaye was going through. He was asked, he was told that why did he say Akata-Pore had betrayed the cause? That was specifically what was actually asked in this particular case. So the question that was asked is that, why did he say Akata-Pore has betrayed the cause? And specifically, he also made the point that, that's Joachim, he said Akata-Pore had betrayed the cause because when chairman asked him at the meeting to resign, he refused to do so. And that he confronted chairman that both of them, including Kojo, knew something about the abduction and the murder of the judges. A-Mata-Quaye was asked again, why was Akata-Pore asked by the chairman to resign? Then A-Mata-Quaye responded, sir, I was not at the meeting, but this was a reported speech by Kojo Chikata. He said Chairman Rawlings asked Akata-Pore to resign from the membership of the PNDC because information had reached the government that he, Akata-Pore's name, had been mentioned in connection with the abduction and the murder. In order to avoid disgrace, he should honorably step aside. And at that juncture, Akata-Pore bored up and said Chairman Rawlings knows something about the abduction as well as Kojo Chikata, and that Akata-Pore went on further to say that if the worst comes to worst, he will call me as a witness. So in effect, all that Akata-Pore was saying was that the three of us knew something about the abduction, including myself. So the only person who could save the government of PNDC from collapse at the time was I. So I should do all that I could within my power to save the government. And he went on further to make some comments in there. It's unclear to me which specific day this is. But what's clear to me is that, were you really in this meeting? Did you have any conversation like this as A-Mata-Quaye is reporting?
To be honest with you, I haven't read that report. I don't have a copy. Yeah, but I'm telling you that it is news. It never happened. You can ask the chairman. He never asked me to resign. Look, I tried to resign a number of times from the council. Yeah, and I also did not want to join the council. It was Chachu and Chris Atim who prevailed on me to join the council because all the soldiers wanted me to represent them. I didn't want to be part of the council. I wanted to go back to Cape Coast to continue my studies. So it's not true.
The claim from the narrative that's being put out there in the SIB's report is suggesting that you even started pointing fingers when you were supposed to have been one of those suspected by, of course, this is clearly Captain Kojo Chikata reporting to A-Mata-Quaye about the suspicion that you and A-Mata-Quaye were behind or connived to actually do the abduction and the killing of these judges.
Let me put this to you. Look, I was arrested in 1982 by Captain Kojo Chikata and Jerry John Rawlings, okay? Now, just imagine if for 1 minute they would have been able to tie the murder of the judges to me. Do you think I'll be seated here having a chat with you? These were people who wanted to get rid of me. These were people who wanted to get rid of me.
For what reason specifically?
Politics. Because they wanted to go down a certain path. The path that you see, the economic situation that you see now, it was the PNDC that established it. Now, we were fighting against this. We were Nkrumahs. We were progressives. We wanted a different type of economics from what we inherited from Liman. Now, they didn't want that. They saw that there were difficulties, and therefore they thought the easiest path was to reinstate the type of economic system that was there before we overthrew that the system, Liman's system.
I see.
Yeah. So it was there was a split in the PNDC between the progressives and them. And the only way they could achieve the agenda was to get rid of us. And me being the if you like, the personification of the system that we wanted, they had to get rid of me. And that is why, you read the document, you see it. That is why they tried to put everything together and then to implicate me. But to be fair to Captain Kojo Chikata, I do not think that at any point in time he ever suggested that I was involved in the murder of the judges.
Okay, so what I read to you was purely the SIB's recordings about their interaction with A-Mata-Quaye. Now, let's get back to the narrative that you were giving me. I have seen your statement, and part of it suggests that we don't know all. Indeed, you proceed to say that we now know a lot about what happened that day, but we also know that there are several unanswered questions. Our greatest tribute to the martyred will be to do everything we can to unearth the truth about their murders. And you move on to say that this is because the former PNDC chairman, who was the last person to talk to A-Mata-Quaye, who admitted to the murders, has refused to discuss the murders. In my view, his refusal is underpinned by the direct involvement in the murders. This is circumstantial. You don't in any way suggest directly that he had played any specific role. You only say that because he had refused to actually volunteer some information connected to this, that's why you think he's involved.
Yes, because he has never told me that he was involved. And so we can only go by the facts that we know. You see, because if, for example, there's a crime, and then you invite someone and ask the person questions, and the person doesn't answer them, then the person must have something to hide. If the person hasn't got something to hide, he should tell us why he's not saying anything.
So beyond,
and besides,
beyond this, why do you think that there is more than we know about the involvement of the former President Rawlings in all of this?
Look, I've already told you about the fact that he called me and told me that A-Mata-Quaye was going to resign. And look, the conversation was very bizarre. It was bizarre. It didn't add up. Particularly when I told him that A-Mata-Quaye had been, it would be suggested that he had murdered the judges. He didn't respond to it. You see, he didn't respond directly to it. Then, like I've already put in here, look, the chairman went to A-Mata-Quaye and extracted what he called the beautiful truth, confession. This was after he had set up an SIB, that is the Special Investigation Board, to determine what had happened. They gave a report to him, and he frustrated the report. He went and collected a so-called confession from A-Mata-Quaye and did not hand that evidence back to the tribunal or to the investigation board to tell them that, oh, look, by the way, A-Mata-Quaye has come up with some new information, and here it is. And then they would have dealt with it. He didn't do that.
But,
and then you see...
But,
okay,
forgive me, the reports in the People's Daily Graphic around the time suggested that all that A-Mata-Quaye said was to exonerate Kojo Chikata, Captain Kojo Chikata. And that A-Mata-Quaye insisted that the man knew nothing about it, and this was published and known. When Mr. Rawlings was invited to specifically the NRC, he said he couldn't find the tape. So why do you think he has more questions to answer?
Well, how did he know that A-Mata-Quaye had not spoken the truth? How did he know? And then when he went to A-Mata-Quaye to collect the so-called beautiful truth confession, how did A-Mata-Quaye know exactly what to tell him? Because he didn't argue with A-Mata-Quaye about the fact that he had not told him everything. He didn't. He had gotten what he wanted. So it means they both knew what A-Mata-Quaye had to say.
Okay.
You see, and about exonerating A-Mata-Quaye, the best thing would have been for him to take that tape and give it back to the SIB. Yeah? Then the SIB would have been the people to revise their report. You see, then Captain Chikata would have been appropriately exonerated. That would have been the right thing to do. But he didn't do it. And if you think about the fact that he wanted this so-called confession badly, why? Was he under pressure from someone to go and get that exoneration? It doesn't make sense, because after all, A-Mata-Quaye did not implicate him. Why was he that desperate to go and get an exoneration? Was he under pressure? Was it a condition? These are the questions that need to be asked so that we'll all get to know the truth. Because, and you see, it is so painful that A-Mata-Quaye should have gone through all those things. It wasn't fair.
Why do you say so?
Well, A-Mata-Quaye was a very loyal friend of the chairman. Look, before the coup, A-Mata-Quaye had been serving Jerry loyally. He did some errands for him. Look, A-Mata-Quaye was involved in a problem at the TUC. They went and tried to burn the place down before 31st. Okay, and everybody understood at that time, and I don't have the facts to that, but even the military intelligence said that Jerry Rawlings and A-Mata-Quaye were the people who were behind it.
I see.
Then come 31st, and A-Mata-Quaye's loyalty towards the chairman was superordinary. A-Mata-Quaye would not even gossip about the chairman. If you try to joke about the chairman, behind him, A-Mata-Quaye would not like to join in. It was that intense, the loyalty. And I've put a lot of it inside here.
I get you. Now, I'm looking at some of the things you talked about. For example, you raised a question about transitional provisions, which in your view cannot restrict a review or reinvestigation of these murders because the murders obviously weren't PNDC government sanctioned. Why do you say so?
Well, you see, the PNDC did not come out to say that, look, this operation, we knew about it, and then it went wrong. Okay, they never said that. They denied it. Okay, so basically it boils down to individual criminality. Individuals who went out and committed this crime. Okay, so if those were individuals, it wasn't a PNDC related operation. So how can you say that the transitional provisions should bar people from looking into this crime? Are we saying that all crimes that were committed by whoever, so long as it was during the PNDC, no one should touch them because there's something called transitional provisions? Isn't that a farce? It doesn't make sense. I don't believe that that is the case, or that was the intention. And that is why the clever lawyers out there should go and test it. They should go and test it. Because we want the truth about this, the murder of these judges and the major. I must add, we always forget about the major, and it is important that we always remember him, you know, because he too.
Your first suggestion is that there should be some form of a new investigation.
Yes.
Why do you say so?
Mainly because the crimes were not properly investigated. And even if they were investigated, the process was frustrated. Because after the report had been given, parts of it were not accepted. There was a response from the PNDC of a sort. As should happen, there should be a white paper, and then, you know, I don't know the legal, you know, follow-ups, but there's supposed to be a response, then a white paper, and then, you know, the white paper will implement the decisions and so on. That didn't happen. What happened instead was that the chairman took it upon himself to go and find the so-called beautiful truth. How did he know to go to A-Mata-Quaye? He didn't come to me. He could have come to me to ask me for the beautiful truth, in which case I would have given him ugly facts. But he didn't want the ugly facts. He wanted the beautiful truth from A-Mata-Quaye.
Okay, now I want to be clear on this. Beyond this one, you're also talking about the PNDC government had a vested interest in the case. 4 senior members of the PNDC, including your very self, as well as the PNDC chairman's wife, were alleged to have been implicated one way or the other. How was this so?
Listen, if you read the SIB report, which I haven't got a copy of, when I was in prison, someone used to bring it to me every day, and I read a bit, and the person would take it away. You know, that is how the prison life is, you know. So I don't have a copy up to now. When I left, I tried to get a copy and I couldn't. Up to now, I don't. Maybe when I come to Ghana, you can help me take a copy from you. Then I can study it properly. But the truth of the matter is, the vehicle that was used for these murders, the keys to them were taken from the chairman's house. And Nana is supposed to have been around there. And as for the chairman's involvement, that one, I just don't, look, it's just ridiculous. Because look, there's no way A-Mata-Quaye would take instructions from Kojo without verifying them from the chairman. And Kojo knew that. So if Captain Kojo knew that, he will not dare give instructions to A-Mata-Quaye, knowing that those instructions will go to the chairman anyway. And the chairman and Kojo were that close that none of them will give instruction without the other knowing. It's just not possible. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's an interesting point you make there. Now, you have questions you have outlined. I want you to tell me why these questions are essential, specifically what these questions are and why they are essential.
Look, first of all, the question is, how did the chairman know that A-Mata-Quaye was the one who had the truth and he hadn't spoken it, and therefore he wanted to go and get it from A-Mata-Quaye? How did he know what the truth looked like? The second question is, why is it that it was only A-Mata-Quaye that he went to and not the other four? The other four culprits. Why didn't he go to them? Why didn't he come to me? Why didn't he extract it from Kojo? And you see, this thing about the confession, why didn't he have A-Mata-Quaye sit in public, like I'm sitting in front of you now, to let A-Mata-Quaye make a statement? Why didn't he do that? And when he collected the confessions, why didn't he give them back to the tribunal or the SIB? And then you see, when I think on the 2nd of July, the former CDS, General Nunu Mensah, went to the chairman and told him that, look, this is what I've heard. Some judges and the major have been adopted. And therefore, something had to be done about it. The chairman immediately called for A-Mata-Quaye and told A-Mata-Quaye to go and release the victims. The question is, why did he not call any other person? Why did he not call me? Why did he not call any of the soldiers who were around? But straight to A-Mata-Quaye. How? How did he know that he should call A-Mata-Quaye without any prior knowledge? And then the other question is, why did it take so long to arrest A-Mata-Quaye? Why? And the others? Look, I'll tell you something else. A-Mata-Quaye told the other 4 boys that they should not worry because the chairman was organizing a trip for them outside the country. And this explains why he did not escape from the prison on June 14th, because he still relied on his friend to honor that commitment and to let him get out of the country. And you see, with all these, why is it that when the chairman made his broadcast, the first broadcast on these issues, why did he not tell the nation about some of these things? By that time, everybody in the barracks knew who was involved.
I see.
And you see, the last point is, why did he allow A-Mata-Quaye to resign and not sack him? Why? So those are the questions. There are a lot more that I've got in a big document that I've written. This is an extract that I've picked. But there are 9 questions here, and they are relevant. You see, if there's a new investigation and these questions are put to the chairman, then we'll get to know the truth. He will tell us. I hope he doesn't come up with some bizarre explanation, such as the one that he gave about executing the heads of state and the generals, about young soldiers and students wanting blood. So he gave a few good generals to them. I hope he doesn't come up with something like that. We will see in an investigation.
Give me a second. Let me take a break. When I come back from this break, we'll continue our conversation with Sergeant Aloga Akata-Pore, retired, a former member of the PNDC. After this break, we'll continue this conversation. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome back. This is UpFront. My guest is an extraordinary person when it comes to unraveling what really happened around the killing of 3 High Court judges and Major A-Mata-Quaye in 1982. This is Sergeant Aloga Akata-Pore. He's important because he was one of those who were previously indicted by the SIB. The Attorney General exonerated him, they put him before court in all of this, and proceeded on other ends to actually have problems with the PNDC at the time. Fast forward to the time that we are speaking today. He's talking to me about what he thinks should be done. One of the issues you've heard him talk about now is reopening investigations into what really happened on that particular day. Those are the issues we're exploring. Later on, we'll be getting to know his personal experience, what he went through, and all of that, and how it has shaped his life in various forms. But we'll continue our conversation, and you're welcome back, sir. So the point we left off was you telling me about the important questions that when there is reopened investigations, the chairman of the PNDC at the time ought to answer. Now, moving beyond these questions, you've also made a point about why A-Mata-Quaye had to die. And you said that A-Mata-Quaye knew that the PNDC chairman could have decided on the sentence he got from the tribunal or could have commuted his sentence. So, is your real point to say that A-Mata-Quaye did not have to die, or he believed so much in the chairman of the PNDC at the time? That's why he was disappointed and had to be executed.
That's a very tricky question. First of all, in principle, I don't believe in the death penalty.
Okay.
I don't believe in the death penalty at all. Yeah. So that is one thing. But we are in a democracy, and if the Constitution says that people who commit crimes should be executed, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. But the point that I was trying to make there was not that A-Mata-Quaye should not be executed, but I was saying that A-Mata-Quaye had to die because, from my analysis, the chairman wanted him to die. because he was the only other person apart from him who knew the truth.
I see.
And I've given you reasons why it could only have been that case. Because look, if you've got a very close friend, then we have June 19th.
Yeah.
There is a jailbreak. And most of the jails have been broken and people have escaped. If you didn't want the person to die, you could help him out. You see, if, for example, the chairman made sure that all the prisons were secure in order to make sure that he got all the culprits to punish them, I take my hat off to him. That would be very honorable of him. But A-Mata-Quaye did not die because of his crimes. He died because of the information that he had. And that is the point that I'm making here.
Well, I get your point. Now, you've also outlined some other incidents, and now I want to get into your personal experience. You fell out with the PNDC. And
yes, I did, yeah.
Was it just over the murder of the judges, or were there other deep-seated matters? You've spoken about an ideological difference already.
Yeah, very serious ideological differences. By April 1982, the PNDC as a unit was over.
How?
Because, well, they had gone to bring this group of people from, you know, the IMF, and they came with JLS-Abe, Chachuchikata, Kosiboche, and basically they were, you know, pushing the agenda of, you know, the same economics that we had left behind and, you know, overthrew a government for. And within 4 months, they were expecting us to abandon the agenda. Look, in 1981, we're only 15 years away from Kwame Nkrumah's overthrow. So many possibilities were there.
Yeah. Now, let me bring in this point, and I'm sure you actually are interested
in so many interventions, so many interventions, social interventions. Even if we were not able to create a socialist country, there were so many social interventions that we could have brought about to give relief to the ordinary Ghanaian. Now look at what is happening in the country because of their economic agenda.
You insist that that's
it's unbelievable. I just cannot believe it.
You still insist that that particular economic agenda is being played out today?
Oh, they crafted it. They crafted it. Look, the NDC and the MPP have a problem because what are they supposed to do? They've inherited an economic straitjacket that was formulated and put in place by the PNDC. Look, the only way is to reset the button. You know, look, maybe today is not the appropriate time, but I'm prepared to sit down with you and go through a plan that at least can provide a system that will provide relief for the ordinary workers, the ordinary people, the ordinary farmers, and not only the political elites.
I get your point.
The system that is there is only satisfying the political elites.
I get your point. Now, you mentioned the bulldozing event in your write-up too. You said that soon after the coup had succeeded, the former chairman personally led armored cars to bulldoze bakeries, which belonged to enemies he and his wife had made between 79 and 81. Explain this incident to me.
You see, the PNDC chairman has a problem. He is somebody who always wants to revenge. And I've catalogued, you know, some of the examples. His problem with the PNDC foreign secretary. the vice chair, his problem with the AFRC members. He doesn't speak to any of them. All the PNDC members, none of them. He tore Aka's shirt and his coat, and the man never recovered from it. Look at his problem with, his vice president, Asum Joyhene, and up till now, he would have wanted Asum Joy to be alive, Asum Joyhene to be alive, not because he wants the man to live, it's because he wants to continue his feud with him. So look, I brought out all these things. Look, there was a certain flight squadron leader. He told me to keep an eye on that guy, until that guy looked at me in the eye and said he knew why I was following him, but the reason why I was following him wasn't the reason, and laughed. And we both understood what he meant.
Now, let me
and then
ask
you come to
because you made the point. So, forgive me,
someone
I'll come
who
to that.
went and released him into the chairmanship. He didn't want to see him because he said he had asked Sarkodie not to take ex gratia. Basically, the Liman administration tried to rehabilitate the former AFC members by sending some of them on educational programs abroad. So he bulldozed his former friends' bakeries, and we also know why that is a bulldozing expert.
Where were these bakeries in the first place, and who are the people?
They were around Osu. I had a report from the soldiers when they had come back.
And they didn't tell you the people whose bakeries they had gone to reach the ground.
I know them. I know them and I know their names.
Sorry, I want to be clear on this. Can you tell us the names?
I don't want to tell you the names at the moment. You've seen that in my document.
Because you are making an allegation, and I want to believe that you know what you're talking about. Without giving us
I know what I'm talking about.
Any shred of identity for us to follow up, it will just be made to look like you were just saying anything at all.
If you look at this document,
yes,
what I've done, I have stayed away from mentioning names because I've got an aim and I don't want to be diverted with people coming to me to say, oh, why did you mention my name? Or this and that. That's why I've not mentioned any names, because I've not had permission from anybody to mention their names, and it will be inappropriate.
Now, you also made a second
including the soldiers who went on those operations with him, because he doesn't drive armored cars.
Okay. Now, let me get this also clarified. What was your worst experience in prison?
Well, the worst experience, I would say, was when I went on hunger strike. I went on hunger strike because I wanted a trial, and I wouldn't get it. So I went on a hunger strike, and yeah. I think that was because I was almost gone.
Okay, now let me get this clear. Why did you go to prison in the first place?
Okay. What happened was, after the murder of the judges, they tried to use it, as you know, or as I've said, to get rid of me and what they termed Alolga's boys, and then the rest of the progressives. Unfortunately, like I've said, the judiciary and Amnesty International got interested, so they realized that they could not just round up people like they were planning, finish them off, and then announce that oh, they had done an investigation into the murder of the judges, and they had found the culprits, and they had dealt with them. They couldn't do that. There had to be some form of due process. So it meant that they could not carry out that plan. But that was the agenda. Then they heard of a coup d'etat being planned in November, around October, November. Okay? So they leveraged that coup d'etat. They knew exactly what was happening. There was a certain plan. They planted a certain boy from Air Force. And I think I'll mention his name. He's called Boachi. So this Boachi guy was the one informing Jerry, whilst being in the leader of that coup was called Major Musa. Okay? And I think that was the coup in which, I think PND may have been involved or something. I've forgotten. No, don't take me on that. I've forgotten the details.
Okay.
But the Major Musa coup, yeah, of November 23rd, they knew exactly what was happening. They left the barracks. I didn't know what was happening. So I actually went to the barracks at that time when the bomb started landing. Because I went to town, and then when I returned, then the bombs started landing. And who gave the trigger for the coup to start? Boachi. He fired some shots from Air Force Station. By this time, Jerry knew exactly what was happening. And he was in the castle.
I see.
So he then used that opportunity in the confusion and then rounded some of my colleagues up, including one Corporal Adabuga. By this time, we did not also know where the person that we considered to be our leader, Chris Atim, we didn't know where he was. So we assumed that both of them had been arrested. So the immediate reason why I was arrested was because we stood up and we said we wanted them released. They should be released or we're going to storm the castle. That was what happened. So we were arrested under what they call a mutiny.
Okay.
One Captain Baba Awuni was, but that's another long story which I don't want to go into. But I'm sure we were arrested. The immediate reason they gave was for a mutiny.
Okay, so that's why you went to jail and you demanded a trial. And that trial, were you ever given the trial?
No.
How many days were you on this hunger strike?
Why did I go on the hunger strike?
I'm asking how many days?
How many days?
Yes.
I kept a count. I've got a certain a book somewhere. Probably 15 days, 15 or 16.
I see.
But I wasn't drinking water, so it was really bad, you know.
Okay. So, and this was just because you wanted to be given a trial?
Yeah, I wanted to be given a trial. But they wouldn't give me the trial, you see, because they knew that if I had appeared in a trial, things would have changed. Because people would have known what had actually gone on and why we had actually fallen out with the chairman. And he didn't want that to come out.
You didn't try a mutiny, did you?
No, they didn't.
I'm saying you. Were you part of the planning, execution, or any form of action in connection with the mutiny?
You mean prior to our arrest?
Yes.
Well, to the extent that we demanded the release of Adabuga and Chris Atim. Well, you could give it to them. That, you know, yeah, of course.
So that could have been construed as you trying some form of a mutiny.
Oh yes. Well, to be fair, yes. To be fair to them, yes. They shouldn't have arrested. Well, we thought it turned out that they had not arrested Chris Atim, but they had arrested one of our colleagues. Yeah. Okay. With hindsight, it's in the normal course of things. That's not the way to demand, the release of someone. But the circumstances were extraordinary.
I get your point. Now,
Yeah,
my
that's
final
why
question to you.
we took an indisciplined route to try and get his release. And look, at the end of the day, we secured his life.
Okay. Now, my final question to you on this is purely about, do you think we have learned lessons from the happenings of around the killing of the judges in '82, the arrest and detention of people and all of the things that happened around that period? Have we learned enough lessons for our forward movement as a country today?
To be honest with you, the PNDC chairman sometimes berates the corruption and so on that goes on in the country. And look, he's got a point, except that he hasn't got the moral authority to talk about them. Because he has come to exemplify corruption. You see, but he's still a citizen and he's got a right to point out those things. But it is not effective because people know his background. He's sitting on millions and millions of dollars.
But that's an allegation
plots of land that he could have only gotten from taken from the states. We all went into the PNDC with nothing. How can you now have several houses, a yacht, luxury cars? You fly by first class. You sleep in the best hotels.
But
where did you get that money from?
He's a former president, for that matter. He's a former president. Led this country in a legitimate government for more than 8 years.
Okay, I think you are trolling, so maybe I should keep quiet. Because, look, he is the only president who went into power poor and came out a billionaire.
He doesn't say he's a billionaire. He says he doesn't have that kind of money.
I am telling you that he should declare his assets. I am suggesting that he's a billionaire. If he says that I'm lying, please declare your assets before 31st and after 31st. Simple.
My final question was to this particular point, but I need to reiterate the point here. What can we do to avoid the recurrence of actions like what happened in '82, '79, and other years before? What can we do to avoid the recurrence of them?
You see, the lessons were not learned. Okay? The lessons were not learned. So, in my view, it may take another form, but the uprising is inevitable. It's going to happen. It may not be in my lifetime. I've always said this. It's most likely it will not be in my lifetime, or even maybe in the lifetime of my children. But it's going to come. Because you have a situation in which you've got an underclass that is forever expanding with no hope. And then you have a small elite that have formed a dynasty in which only they and their children, the children are sent abroad, they get better educated, they come back and take over, and so on. It's a complete dynasty. It will get to a point that the greed will be such that there will be no way out but to reset the button. It's a shame, but it looks like that is what is going to happen. It may not be in my lifetime, but it definitely will happen.
Sergeant Aloga Akata-Pore, retired, my appreciation for your time this evening. I hope we can do more of these conversations in the future, but thank you so much for joining us this evening.